Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cristofer. So I'm the regional sales covering APAC from Gatewatcher. So just a little quick introduction. Gatewatcher is the European leader for NDR, network detection and response. Now that said, today the theme I'm going to talk about is to uncover the unseen, which is you don't know what you don't know. We will help you to uncover the advanced threats. Right. So just a quick, connect with everyone on the floor. I believe we all agree that cyber attacks is not if, but when, right? Whether is it today, tomorrow, or already happened? Or worse, has the intruder already commenced within your organization, right? So what I want to put across is the challenge here is, as we all evolve into an evolution of digital landscape, right? Every organization will expand, right, from the traditional paper copy all the way to digitalization. But that said, that also expose and increase the number of attack vectors path, right, into your organization. Whether is it unpatched software, just take a look now at recently, every few days, right? Vendors also have issue whereby a few days releasing CVE, right? Vulnerabilities. Not to mention, right? The adoption of cloud is increasing, and nowadays we are going hybrid, right? So the complexity of infrastructures. Not to mention also targeted malware, and hackers also evolve themselves. Not only just the techniques, but also the sophisticated tools they have been using. Challenge here is, are we fast enough to detect and respond? Now, the state of cyber attacks in Philippines, I believe we are all more than well aware, right? Especially with the recent increase of the incidents, which I will not talk about it, but rather transiting into the current present organization structure, which when I do consulting over these years and provide advisory, and now, right, as from the vendor point of view, most of the present organization structures, what is the most crucial security gaps that we all face? Visibility to detect advanced threats, right? So think about it. What exactly is advanced threats, right? I have firewall, I have EDR, I have this and that, right? What about network threats, right? Within your network telemetry, right? We are talking about different protocols within your network, north, south, east, west traffic beyond within your network traffic. What about polymorphic malware? What about zero-day attacks, ransomware, etc.? And of course, and many more advanced threats that goes undetected. So the point here is, every organization, allow me to use this use case. So if we all are aware, SolarWinds 2 years back, there's a major breach. And again, right, not to put them down, but this is a very classic use case. They are just like any other mature organization that been hit, right? So what happened is SolarWinds, just like any mature organization, they have perimeter tools, right? Firewall, WAF application, SIEM, etc. Not to mention, they also have like EDR that covers the endpoint. But the point is, what about in between? The network telemetry, zero visibility, unless there is an NDR to deploy and sense whether is there anyone crawling within your network. Now that said, because of that incident, right, to today, the loss is still uncountable for, and based on the news, it's still more than, the losses has crossed more than 40 million USD. So from an independent Gartner point of view, right, typically in order to have a 360 visibility within your SOC triad, typically they highlighted that there is 3 key areas to be focused. And right now in the market, there's a lot of emphasis on SIEM, of course, right, because compliances and EDR perspective is endpoint. But what about a huge major gap? The third element, which in this case, NDR. And why, right? Basically, we were to ask ourselves, do we have visibility within your network telemetry? Are we able to increase further visibility, such as APT attacks? For example, a typical APT attack basically takes about 3 years to be detected. But with NDR, it just takes seconds, right? So with that, these 3 elements, you will then have a full visibility within your organization, right? Not just dependent on your perimeter tools and EDR. Of course, they are essential. But more importantly, like what I mentioned, there are too many attack vectors path into your organization. How then can you make sure that if there's any intruder pass through your perimeters, do you have another layer of defense to detect advanced threats attack? And again, this is where NDR comes in. Resolution, right? If we were to ask ourselves today, right, on the floor, do we have a clear understanding of your network threats at all times? And 2, very major, this is something I want to highlight. Are you able to cover every entry point before, during, and even after, right? So even there's an intruder in your organization right now crawling, doing mmap scan, ping sweep, try to identify where's your AD server, EDR, how many EDR you have, and so forth. Are you able to identify, right? Last but not least, are you confident to detect advanced threats like APT, right? Ransomware, and of course, zero-day attacks. So key concern, right? Especially, I saw a lot of familiar faces on the floor, right? We have been engaged, and one of the key areas NDR that we can address is through Gatewatcher NDR. And again, so what is NDR, right? So NDR, network detection and response, whereby we are using a combination of multi-vectors engine, and Gatewatcher is the unique player that do not have to review your metadata out to a third-party cloud in the market. And that's it, right? We are using rule sets, signatures, non-signatures. On top of that, we are the only player that integrate NDR and CTI, cyber threat intelligence, into one single platform today in the market. Not to mention, that's it, we have our own AI machine learning supervision that already all together in one multi-vector engine. Right? So again, once I know exactly, I know there is a attack vectors path, many entries point to my organization. Okay, that's 1. 2, I understand the purpose of the what is NDR, right? And 3, what exactly the need now NDR can do? So of course, 1 is to enhance the network security, right? Some of I spoke to some of the organization clients. They mentioned that, oh, I have NPM, but hey, look, NPM is a network monitoring performance, right? Looking at the traffic. But what about threats, cyber threats that we're talking about? 2, outdated security tools. Rather than saying outdated, I'll put it this way: legacy, right? As the techniques and tools involved, so as our own defense tools as well. So if in the organization, if you're still using NTA, IDS, and this is where, right, it's time for you to really look into NDR, which holistically goes beyond detection, just IDS and NTA purpose. And not to mention, able to respond to capabilities right beyond that. So again, Gatewatcher NDR has the ability to work with any third-party vendors tools to do remediations, right? Be it your SIEM, your firewall, your EDR, etc. More importantly, and it's the key one, right, is to advance, be the first to find out if someone is within your network doing suspicious activity. And instead of waiting for 2 or 3 years, you just need seconds to detect without your hacker knowing, and you can come up a plan. So, business benefits, right? So Gatewatcher is, the main key thing of Gatewatcher is, of course, to detect, to investigate, to respond, along with our own CTI, which is intelligence, and analyzation. So Gatewatcher has a combination of NDR, CTI, and of course, last but not least, we have our own sandboxing as well. And not to mention, we are the only player that deploy easily more than 3,000 honeypot worldwide, collectively collecting different IOCs and import back to our own library. And business benefit, of course, apart from what I mentioned, detecting advanced threats, we have to be clear on two things, right? Put the cost aside. Two areas. One, we want to reduce MTTD, which is mean time to detect threats. And two, reduce MTTR, mean time to respond. So instead of detecting malware or 0 day after 2-3 years, we just need seconds. In terms of responding after detecting 3 years later on, something happened, you just need seconds to look into your playbook or engage in a team to respond and react into the attacks. Right? I'll end it off with this slide. So last but not least, right, our booth again is right outside of the Grand Hall. Sorry, our booth is right outside of the Grand Hall ballroom, right? And we are providing 6 essential NDR guide, especially for CISOs, meant for CISOs and CIO. All right, so feel free to visit us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Quek, for that awakening presentation. Now, as he mentioned, they have a booth downstairs. So if you have any questions regarding the 6 essential, yes, you may visit them today until 6 p.m., right? Yes, okay. And with that, I'd like to present to you the visual evaluation. Okay, so starting with, as he said earlier, cyber attack is not if, but when. Now, that is really an eye-opener for everyone. And then to completely... the complexity of attacks gets greater. Are we fast enough to detect? Now, the key here is early detection, as he mentioned as well. And the need for NDR is, of course, enhances network security response capabilities, improves security tools, and advances response features, which are all very, very important if you want to address the threat right away. And, of course, network detection response, and then SIEM EDR. All right. So again, ladies and gentlemen, please take a picture of that because this is actually the highlight of his entire presentation. So thank you very much.